market days on Saturday, on those monthly days. So that information will be coming out to you at some point. This slide just has some information for you about donors, different organizations that Phoenixville Refuge is connected to with. That is Phoenixville Refuge, sorry, tongue-tied. That Phoenixville Refuge is connected with in the Phoenixville community. You can read more in detail here, but all of these organizations in ways either help, they are big participators in helping with the food and things that we have at Market Day, but also help in other ways too. So Mitzvah Circles, where we get our diapers from, Hands and Service has some of those household goods. We get donations from Ironworks, PAC, 7 Stars. They provide some food along with Freecon Farms. We have a relationship with Bella Napoli where they will donate pizza for some of our events. So as you can take a look at this, you can see we have so many. It's really wonderful how many partners we have in the Phoenixville community of just people coming together to donate foodstuffs, to donate items, to help our monthly market day and with other things. And we're hopeful and we remain prayerful that the Lord will bring other donors into relationship with us too. There are some other organizations in Phoenixville as well that operate that are reaching out to some folks in the community that we also see here at Phoenixville Refuge. So to name some of them, Orion Communities, we have Melinda here this evening who works with Orion. Genesis, Ligonier Ministries, New Story Church, Good Works Inc., Kate's Casa, Rahab's Hope. So as I run through some of these, you can take a moment to read about those. I think many of you are probably familiar with Genesis and their outreach in the community and providing services for women who have young children or who find themselves pregnant. Orion also, you can read here, offers hope for individuals and families experiencing hardships due to poverty, disability, or illness by building bridges that lead to self-reliance. So they offer free access to computers. They are very well established here in Phoenixville. Melinda, how long has Orion been around? For 47 years. So they are a well-established nonprofit here in Phoenixville that does a lot of outreach to the community. We've gotten Bibles through Ligonier Ministries. We've had youth group and other folks from New Story Church come and help at Market Day. Good Works Inc., they help by transforming homes for low-income families. So we are hopeful that there's some potential for growth in that relationship with Good Works. Kate's Casa is a great organization. Kate and I actually were connected at Alianzas. I taught the English class that she taught, and so she's actually a public school teacher here in Phoenixville who has connected with many of the families that she teaches. And so she started an organization to provide assistance for those newly arrived families, single mothers, and she has like a quarterly outreach thing that she does. And then there's also Rahab's Hope, which is helping folks who are at risk for homelessness. So lots of good organizations doing great things that we want to continue to keep establish and maintain partnership with. Like Keith mentioned before, the 4 of us, Patrick, Tim, Kathleen, and Keith, all sit on the board. So these are just some of the ways that we as a board have been hoping to further build out an organization for Phoenixville Refuge. So one of those goals is all of you sitting right here right now, because we got you to come out for dinner and help us brainstorm. So we are glad that you're here to help us in building more objectives for Phoenixville Refuge. We really want, I think one of our hopes, kind of like what Keith was sharing, is that we really want people to come to an understanding of that Phoenixville Refuge is more than just the monthly market day. Yes, that is a really important aspect of Phoenixville Refuge, and it's a way to make connections, but it's more than just that. And so we're hoping to establish some ways of developing and managing our relationships with our partners and developing a structure for coordinating things with with the Hispanic community here in Phoenixville with the requests that we get from them. We have, with much help from Estella, created a resource guide to help facilitate this, and that is completed. And I think we have like a copy for each table to take a look at. And another goal we have is for some succession planning to really be able to know how the organization can move forward and how folks can step up and help in certain roles. And one of our other goals in building the organization is to add at least one new member to the Phoenixville Refuge board in this year. So that's a bit of an overview for you. And I'll pass it on to Keith.
Thank you. Without the cough. Thanks, Kathleen. Yeah, so let's dive in a little bit deeper to a couple of these. I think as Kathleen mentioned, one of the things we've had to realize with some help from some of our servants is that we need to narrow our focus. One of the things you'll see tonight, we have a little postcard, fun facts for 2023. It's just some high-level overview for people that may not be familiar with Refuge that they could look. And one of the first things that's listed is when we started in 2021, in March, I think, by the end of that year, we had 47 families that had participated at some level. Last year, 335 or 350. So Refuge is growing, which is a big reason why we're here. So we have to kind of get things under control, right? We've always realized that we can't be all things to all people. And those of you that have known us from the beginning, I look at Tim especially, who would say, we can't do everything for everybody, right? And we kind of were in this crisis management mode, but it was never the intent to stay there. So a narrowing of our focus. So we have a few objectives we're going to talk, and that's what we have for this year. And also our focus is for the Hispanic community in the Phoenixville area. Even though we get people coming from all over, even out of state, a few families, and we certainly have non-Hispanic families and individuals that have reached out, and we would not screen them out. Everybody is welcome, but our focus is that. So really making a concerted effort to narrow the focus. And a big part of that is trying to build an organization. I'm more comfortable reading off of here now. So one of our objectives for this year is to build an organization for Refuge. And as Kathleen said, we are Refuge, those of us here tonight and those of us that are not here. Incidentally, this is being audio recorded, so there will be an available record of this that we'll email to everybody or whatever the proper way, so you'll have that, and the people that aren't here can listen to it. Developing and managing our relationship with our partners. This is really a big one, and it's great that Melinda is here. So when we talk about our partnerships, Kathleen brought some of them up on the board, but there's more that we have some level of relationship with, and then there's a lot more that we have no level of relationship with, but they're out there. And one of the things that we're looking to do is to find individual Refuge servants to manage that relationship, to be like a conduit, right? So information gathering and passing back and forth, whether it's a phone call, an occasional meeting, kind of emphasizing, Orion, how can we better Refuge serve you and contribute in your mission, and how can you better help Refuge in our mission across the board for all? But we need people to do that, right? Estella can't do it by herself. Ramon can't do it by himself. Kathleen, Tim, we can't. It's getting too big. What's really cool about that is what's beyond that. So managing the relationship is really great, but I'll give a great example because this woman here, Melinda, I meet with her fairly regularly, and oftentimes she's saying, Keith, I have some exciting new idea. We have to get together, and we get together to talk about one thing, and within 15 minutes, Melinda's already gone in 9 different directions, and as we're talking, she's typing me emails and texts, connecting with me with people, with other organizations. And it's really remarkable. And I think many of us know that the more people you talk to, and as you talk about things, other things come from that, which is great in brainstorming. Scott, you talked earlier about some of the IT things with available software and computers. It can go all over, remaining focused, but that's one of the real fruits, I think, of our non-partner relationships. There's also, I believe, nonprofit groups in the community of Phoenixville that meet periodically together, right? And so it would be great to have somebody from the Refuge represent us at that meeting once quarterly or once monthly. So again, flexibility, but it's all out there. So our non-partner managing relationships with our partners would be a really good thing. And again, flexibility, that's the big key. So what's this look like? When we say commitment, and a lot of us in here are married, right? That has a certain connotation. It's a good connotation, but flexibility here means it would be your space, your time, your schedule, right? It wouldn't be in a commitment that like every Thursday I have to meet with Melinda, or I have to meet with Kate from Kate's Casa, or Wendy Burpee from Genesis. It would be totally flexible in what would work for you. And I personally think flexibility is really important. So that's a big one. That's part of our objective for building an organization. The second one is the structure and coordinating the need help requests. So I think a lot of you know we have a website. Maybe some of you have looked into that and seen when you get into it, there's a needs help button. And we get folks in the community going on our website and hitting that button that takes you to a form. It fills out, whatever's going on, utilities, rental assistance, food, and then they submit that, and then that through Squarespace, and Tim, jump in if I got this wrong. I don't know what Squarespace is, but we end up getting an email on our Google Gmail, and then Estella gets to work. So Estella processes these, she checks it every day, and then she comes to the board with what's going on, and we kind of make a go-no decision. In a very small fashion, though I think we have more acute ones, Orion does the same thing where their board or some level of their management at the end of each week sits down and discusses the different cases where there's larger sums of money involved, and they make a decision for who is going to be given that assistance. So that's what we have now. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to have a servants from Refuge make a commitment to take on a part of these requests or specific requests. Hoping I can do this. So you're going to see this resource tonight, but I thought there would be value in bringing it up. I can't thank Estella enough. I'm really excited. She spent a ton of hours since the beginning of this year creating this resource guide. So we actually have, some of you are probably familiar, is it the Blue Book, the thing that exists for the Phoenixville community? We actually have our own resource guide for Phoenixville Refuge. This is a guide comprised of the asks that we've gotten in our couple years with the community. So I just want to, and you're going to have this for your focus group as we break out here soon. Just wanted to go through a couple quick things. And we have this in Spanish as well. So the Spanish copies will be available at Market Day because this is at the heart for the community as a resource guide, but it'll also be available for our servants, anybody that wants one, but especially people that would get more specifically involved in being in relationship with some of these needs. Table contents. So this is just a quick, these are some of the things, most of them, that we've been involved with since we've been going on here. I want to emphasize that many of these are only occasional. It's not like every week we're getting a dental request. Some of them 2 or 3 times in the year. Is it not up? Oh. I don't know how to fix that. I had 2 things. I thought I could just toggle back and forth, but they're not both PowerPoints. This one is on Google because it's Canva. Yeah, okay. All right, what I'm talking about. So that's what's up there now, right? That's the presentation. And now I'm going to the internet. So this is the slide deck. Yeah, and then I wanted to go here, Scott, which is where this is, the resource guide. But it doesn't change. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, sorry. I mean, that's okay. We can, well, now you got Bryce, okay. And then it was the internet one. You had it on Bryce, which was our desktop. You know what, that's okay. I don't want to waste time with it. I can just... That's fine, Scott. That's fine. That's good. So this is the resource guide. Okay, so I'll just show quick, and you'll each have one, there'll be one at the table. You have your table of contents here. You can see it's the whole page. That represents the different asks, but the point I'm making there is some of these are only a few times a year. Some of them are more consistent. The most difficult one is clearly housing. That's more complex. Any of these, if you would have any level of interest either tonight or a month from now, certainly there would be training and we would get deeper into the weeds with the details. The second page is levels of assistance. So there's 3 levels of assistance, 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 is we provide no assistance. Great. Will we be able to get back to the other one? It's okay, Scott. We really don't need it. I just want to be able to get back to the other one. Let's get rid of it. Let's just have this up. Thanks. Yep. So level 1, we don't support. Right now, that's jobs. Certainly jobs is a huge thing, and we don't have time to get into it. There's a lot of potential, but it would be a real commitment. So if we get a request for jobs, we can't help. And really, there's a couple other resources, but we're just not going to go down there now. Level 2 is when a request comes in and we initially send that to our community partners. So one thing in developing a relationship with partners is you learn more about their mission. So Orion, for example, they really operate in crisis management, and one of the crisis management areas is assistance, rental assistance, utility assistance. And so whereas 2 years ago, we were taking care of all that, doing all things for everybody. Now we send it to Orion, and Orion can take care of it. But sometimes they can't because there was other priorities, other people maybe in front, and Orion then would bounce it back to us. That takes us into level 3, okay? Level 3 would be something that Refuge would do when one of our community partners cannot support the ask. And in each case, there's categories for that. So that's what that page is about. And then finally, we get into a breakdown of all the individual things. So this is housing and legal services on the other page. And what's listed in here is all the information. So let's say, for example, Haley, not to put you on the spot, let's say Haley's going to be our housing person. She's the person that the housing requests are going to go to. She has her resource guide, and she would go in here, and here she sees Main Street Management, PGM Property Management. There's all the information, contact information, emails, phone numbers, places that she could reach out to or places that she would direct the person who is asked for the assistance to go to, right? And so that's kind of what this is about. So just a little walkthrough when you see this. Hopefully it'll help you in your conversation. So what our prayer is that we'll be able to get servants that'll be willing to take the responsibility if a request comes in for utilities or rental assistance or dental or whatever, with the emphasis, again, on flexibility. While there are some acute things that come in, we would adjust for that. We would have that set up in advance for whoever was managing it. But again, this is more of a flexible type of thing. Your schedule, your commitment, if that makes sense. Yes. Right, so we do have people that speak Spanish. So we would connect them with them. Many of these groups where you would be referring the person to, they have a Spanish speaker, so that would be indicated. So for example, if it's rental assistance, Orion is on there. Part of the information for Orion is that they have a Spanish speaker. Right. Right, so you're talking about something that would have to be developed, but like, so for Glue, for example, which is, our requests come in, well, they come in Squarespace on email, right? So and that request then would have, in Spanish, if it was a Spanish person, right, what the ask is. That would be some of the information. So if Haley would right-click on that message in the email, it would translate to English. So part of it would be going through it the first time, probably reaching out immediately to Estella, and she would walk that person through, and we'd find our way. But we also know we have people in this room that are fluent in Spanish and could work through it. But a lot of times it would be as simple as if a request comes in for utility help, the response would be, well, first of all, the people are going to have the resource guide in the community, so we're hoping they're going to refer to that, and it's in Spanish, and never have to send that Squarespace request. But when they do, it would be, you want to reach out to Orion, reach out to Yolanda Durante, and here's her phone number. And that you could write that in English in the response and just translate it to Spanish and send it. So, yeah. But I think after you go through it once or twice, it would probably be consistent on how you're going to do it after that. You know, like a lot of things, if that makes sense. Okay, back to that slide, right? So the process going forward, then we're hoping that somebody can take responsibility for some of these categories, that they'd be willing to do that. But I think just from listening to this, request goes into Estella, then Estella reaches out to Susie, and then Susie, there's better ways to do this, right? We love Estella, but it'd be great to cut Estella out of the loop. It would be great to have some requests come in and go immediately to Susan Carter if she's doing for clothing, or Donna, Donna's been handling our transportation for like 2 months. She's carting people from Philly to Lancaster, and Autumn, it's really amazing. She doesn't speak any Spanish, and none of these folks speak any English, and she's like, oh, this person's awesome. So it's, I guess love is a universal thing, right? You know, it's really cool. But it would be good to have an IT solution, Scott, or all the other people here that are so good with that stuff, to streamline that. But we don't have to worry about that now, but in the thinking process, right, you know, see where that goes. It would be great, and Autumn, it's funny you just asked that question because Autumn was so involved with our Christmas. It would be great if we could develop a community event planning committee. I know that's a lot of words, but so we have the Christmas party. We also had Hispanic celebration because September 15th starts a month of her Hispanic Heritage Celebration. We have kids events. We're actually hoping to do one at the end of March here. We're hoping to do maybe a 4th of July Halloween party, and we just heard from Hanson Service, one of our providers. They're going to make a huge toy donation. The only request is it has to be distributed by August. So we're going to do a Christmas in July. Those of you who have been involved, and a lot of you have, know how much planning is involved. It would be great to have a group that would be a committee for these events. Not to do the heavy lifting, mainly to give the orders, but schedule with Ironworks to when, you know, the site would be available, see what we need to purchase, how are we going to do that, the food, reach out to David, because we want David to do the catering. All those details are super important. It would be great to have a committee to do that. So that's a neat thing to consider, because it could be a collective group thing. And then there's some other neat things, because there's opportunities that aren't hands-on, like Market Day, that you all participate in. Things that are, again, flexible for your schedule. Research things, right? We would really love to have a fundraiser this year. We've not done a fundraiser. There's some people like Roberta who was ill and couldn't make it tonight. In her previous life, she was a fundraising master, and while she wouldn't have the energy to lead it, she would be a great consul for doing that. It would be great to have a fundraiser this year. We would need probably a group that would be willing to look at that. And how about grants, right? So as a non-secular nonprofit, We don't go to the government for anything, but there are grant monies that exist out there that are outside the government, right? Melinda has informed me that there's a subject matter expert that would be happy to work with us about the whole grants. Exton Library apparently has a lot of tremendous programs, so there's a whole world out there. So it'd be great to have somebody or somebodies that could do some research on that. We spoke a little bit about there's community groups for nonprofits that meet periodically. Probably Phoenixville, maybe Chester County. It would be great to find out what they are, and it would be great to have somebody from Refuge be our representative for that. There's a lot of stuff out there for that. Yeah, this one's neat. So this is something maybe through the deacons, right? One of the things we want to do this year is work with Ironworks, Body of Christ, and obviously the leadership, and Ray's not here, unfortunately, today. Autumn's husband's one of our elders, as many of you know, and the Hispanic community to serve the city. The way I think of the Refuge relative to Ironworks and serving the city, right, which is one of Ironworks' church planks, one of their mission platforms, is that we're the tip of the spear, right? So through Ironworks, we can get into Refuge to bring opportunities back to our leadership at Ironworks Church. A really interesting one is Good Works, Inc. Good Works has been around since the 80s. I know their executive director, Bob Beggs, pretty well. He's a wonderful guy. What Good Works does is Good Works supplies the money, the resources to go into homes and refurb them in Chester County. They're out of Coatesville, but they support different areas, including Phoenixville. They actually, at Valley Forge College, I think it's called, have a warehouse there. And what their paradigm is they work with churches that are willing to put together a labor force to go do the work. It's usually Saturday. It's not consecutive. It may be one Saturday a month. It usually takes more than one session to refurb the home. And what we would like to do, to think about, is having Ironworks Church participate in that shoulder to shoulder with the Hispanic community. Many men and women in the Hispanic community have great gifts, including carpentry, stonemasonry, a lot of really, and we would love to be shoulder to shoulder with them. Ironworks and folks from the community that we're blessed to serve with and get to know, right? What's really cool is there's 20 churches in Good Works in Chester County, in the area they serve, that do this. Guess how many from Phoenixville participate in this program? Somebody guess. None. Zero. What a great opportunity for Ironworks Church. There's not a single church in Phoenixville that's involved in this partnership, and this is a Christian nonprofit, Good Works. Wonderful people. There's also not just, doing the labor. There's also opportunities like to prepare food, which would be what I would probably do because I can't even imagine a line straight in my head, but I'll carry wheelbarrows all day. I'd be a good mule, but also there's opportunity to witness. They have a whole ancillary program off of that where you can be involved in bringing good news. As we're bringing the hammers, you're bringing the good news in that home or that community. So I think that's an example of something that could be really cool, that Refuge could get involved with Ironworks. We also would like to increase the Hispanic community's presence in some of what's going on. Some of you know right now, we have 3 or 4 moms that are serving actively every month at Market Day, which is great. We'd like to expand that, right? Let them get involved with our community events, every aspect of it, preparing food or, serving and the planning and all of that. So getting more skin in the game, right? We talk a lot about sustainability, and so now we're getting to the point where we want to get away from this give, take, and we have gotten away from it, but we want to continue to distance ourselves, if that makes sense, right? And build that community. And then work with our leadership. We talked about Ray, work with the session, work with the elders and the deacons to energize to energize our church, to recast our vision to Ironworks Church. I think this is something that would be fun. So one of the things, and we have to get session approval, but one of the things is once a month in the bistro, we'll set up a table and we'll ask 2 servants to man the table. We'll have some of the resources there that you're going to have tonight, like the Fun Facts postcard, the annual report that the body of Christ can take, right? And then information, right? You serve in a way or different ways. You can talk about that. You can answer questions. That's one of the ways that we're thinking to re-energize and recast our vision with Ironworks Church, right? In serving our community through our church, through the Refuge. Information in the bulletin, getting more of a consistent messaging going forth, having during our liturgist, right, which seems to be a lot of times the elders and sometimes deacons, speak to specific things for the Refuge that are going on. And then maybe a quarterly offertory. So I don't know how many of you are aware, Dave back there, Dave Batcholder, has been involved in a mentorship relationship for going on 2 years now, Dave? 2 years this August with a young man in the community. And boy, you want to talk about the power of God using his servant. It's fantastic. Not only is Dave with this young man, there's been incredible growth. Actually, at least one of this young man's friends, I saw him in church 2 weeks ago with Dave and the man he's monitoring. So it would be great for Dave to get up and give an offertory on what Refuge is doing in the mentoring realm, right? Because I don't think a lot of people are aware of it. So things like that. Okay, so let's get to the main purpose of the meeting here. I hope that's not coming up. Good. Tonight's breakout session focus, is that up? Yeah, it's God, I don't know what happened, but it's off. How's that? Is that better? It's in a totally different thing, Scott. It's not. So that means the audio record's probably not working. Okay, forget it. We're not going to waste time with that. All right, I'll just verbally. So what's our session tonight? We want to focus on, Kathleen, can we hand these folders out? So you're going to have a packet. And in that packet, you're going to have tonight's presentation. Okay? You're going to have a notepad, blank pad. I think you should have pens there at the table. If you put it in your pocket, please take it back out of your pocket, just for this. Fun Facts postcard. I apologize up front for the small font size. When Staples did the draft, it was like size 2 font. I said, please make it bigger. She said she would. It's now like size 6 font. So when we get more, we'll make them bigger. But we have like 250 we got to get rid of. So if you're friends with any of your neighbors, toss a few of these in their doorstep. You'll have our objectives for the year. You have our annual report, okay? So we are big on full disclosure, and hopefully you'll find that information in the annual report. So those are the resources you have. So what we'd like you to do is to talk with one another. Any thoughts, any ideas you have, write it on that pad. We are not asking anybody to make a commitment. We would like you to go away and think about and pray about things. But if you already know there's something you want to get involved with, would you please write your name down on that pad and what it is that you're interested in getting involved with. After we leave tonight, we'll collect the pads. Estella's going to collate everything. We will meet as a board and talk about it, and we'll get back with next steps. Does that make sense? So the focus in your breakout session, developing and managing our relationship with our partners and our donors. How do we do that? And a call to volunteers to make a flexible commitment on that. Developing a structure for coordinating the Phoenixville Refuge community needs help requests. How do we do that? And a call to our volunteers to make a flexible commitment to be involved with a specific thing, whether it be taxes, medical, dental, housing, food, clothing, whatever it may be. That's number 2. Number 3, discuss how to proceed in exploring the ancillary background areas, grant writing, fundraising, identifying other community nonprofits, community nonprofit groups we can be part of, and the community event planning committee, right? What are your thoughts on that, of putting a committee together? Does that make sense? Okay. Go to it, please.
Need coffee or a sugar rush? There's dessert and coffee, so help yourself.
Where's Wilbur? Let's clear the plates. Hey everyone, sorry to interrupt just real quick. So we want to have everyone with the opportunity anyway to leave at 8 o'clock. We're about 20 minutes of 8. So how about 5 more minutes in the small group? And then what we'd like to do is each small group to have somebody stand up and kind of go through what they have on their pad. Or do you want to just keep meeting and not do that second part? It's your call. Want to go 5 more minutes and then have a rep from each table kind of read what's on the pad? Or do you want to just keep doing brainstorming till we get out of here at 8? Okay. Okay, good. Thanks, Autumn. Yeah, so we'll have each table one idea, and we'll do that starting at 10 of 8. So that gives you 10 more minutes for the focus. So if you've been doodling on that pad, get one good idea down there. Understood. Okay, let's start with table one. One thought, one idea, one comment. Table one.
Oh, we're table one? We're table 5.
Oh, where's table one? Table.
What do you want? Do you want to show
Tim.
the 3 to 4?
Okay, sure.
I think that's a good one. He's only sharing one idea.
Yeah.
Okay, let's listen up. Table one. Could you stand, Tim?
So we had discussed that the one pinpoint person might be too much for some people. So maybe having a group, maybe 3 to 4 people. That was our idea.
So could you give a little more color to that? What are we talking about here? Are we talking about the resource guide?
No.
Yeah.
Like when a request comes in through Squarespace, instead of having one person that has to address that need, having a team of 3 or 4 people so that, like, if it needs to be addressed within 3 hours and Timothy's at work and he can't get to it and I'm on his team and I'm off, I can more easily help.
Yeah, one of the things we are considering with Refuge is hiring an assistant administrator to Estella. That's hopefully something the Lord will lead us to this year. Table 2? I'm not sure the secrets. Who's speaking for table 2?
She understands it best, so.
All right, how long do we have here tonight? You really want to got to hear 8 o'clock?
This is Brian. It's awesome.
So, no. Yeah, so we talked a little bit about how the community at large can gain a better understanding of issues of poverty. And so when you talked about how can someone come and help other organizations, so there are a group of us in Phoenixville who are committed to providing the trainings called Bridges Out of Poverty. And I know some folks here took that training. So collectively, to have more churches gain an understanding, have a common lens, a common language about issues of poverty, but a common empathy too. So one thing we've been wanting to do, and I've talked to Keith about, is trying to do a poverty simulation. And so that takes a lot of volunteers and a lot of time. So that's how you can impact your agencies that are around, is helping to bring those kinds of programs and messages. So we talked a lot about a lot of different things. So from the legal aspect of immigration, also from a housing perspective, and that I don't know if you're aware that in Phoenixville there is very little affordable housing, and it's getting consistently worse. So just to give you a takeaway from that, the federal government says that you should spend 30% of your income on housing. So if you're making $12 an hour and you don't speak the language and there's limited resources, where are you going to find a place to live in Phoenixville? And so it's going to come back to people like this who are caring and want to bring some creative solutions. So. Was that the question and answer time?
Yes, for Fran it is.
Yes, absolutely. There is a Chester County Bridges Coalition, and so we are looking for more trainers. And we also do something that's called Getting Ahead in a Just Getting By world. And so the challenge is, can someone be trained in that so that you can bring the Getting Ahead module to folks in Refuge?
Table 3.
So we talked about trying to get the entire church involved. And one thing that Susie brought up with, she was on the board of a library, and where they were doing a fundraiser. And so having everyone who worked there, everybody on the board, to contact anybody they knew to just brainstorm for people that they could contact to help to fundraise that. So we thought if we did this to the church, first we would have to get an idea from the people hands-on, Estella, Roman, you who are working in these areas, to see specifically what are the needs, like housing, immigration, tutoring, the need for picking up things or trucks for market day, and then putting out a formatted sheet to the congregation to see and ask people just to brainstorm. Who do you know who can do this? What kind of contacts do you have, or you yourself, or somebody in your business? So that way we can just garner information about how to address some of these needs and how to get, manpower and also information there. So, but we would need that specific items from you guys who, are hands-on. Anyway.
So Susan, do you see that as like an after-church meeting? When would we get together with the body of Christ Ironworks Church to have this conversation?
Either that or just explain it, like say, maybe after church, an offertory, and then we would have the forms sent out to people. Yeah.
Thank you. Table 4.
Sweet. So the main thing that we focused on was donors and how do we get more of them? How do we streamline our relationship with the ones we currently have? And I think there's not a whole lot of really structure around our idea. It's more like a mindset, I guess. And one of the best ways of reaching out to people is word of mouth, personal interactions. And this is something I've been somewhat practicing at work, trying to get out, workshop and make new clients, get new clients and talk with people, do sales kind of related stuff. And there's tons of little shops, little organizations and big organizations too, all throughout this area, all throughout Chester County. And just the thing that I had in mind and we kind of agreed was potentially helpful was just going out, like having the mindset of maybe going on a date, maybe you're like passing by somewhere and you see something. Donna is actually a good example of this, where she happened to be passing by a dilapidated, it was like a appliance store, and realized, hey, that's something where we could potentially find appliances, obviously, and people could need these things and maybe get these at a discount, and went and talked to the people and was able to make something happen out of that. So. Yeah, just kind of having a mindset of awareness of, and I know there's been texts throughout the group chat of like, hey, we need a stove for this family. So just being mindful of just the needs of the community and just like trying to get that more, in our mindset. And I think as more along the lines of structure is reaching out to organizations that have been around longer than Phoenixville Refuge, like a few that we looked up that are kind of in the area. What was the one that you work with, Anna? It was so there's one that Anna had been working with a little bit in Lancaster area called Send International. So just like talking to people that have been doing this a lot longer than we have and saying, okay, what actually works for you guys? What is... what would you give to rookies? Like, what information would you give to rookies like us to help us be able to do our jobs better? And, not our jobs, but the work that we're trying to do to be Christ to these people. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we have. Was there anything else that we had? Nope, that was pretty much it. Yeah.
This is Rachel, my daughter-in-law.
Thank you. So we talked about a way to get more people involved too, and really developing relationships with the organizations or the people that donate. And I think the idea is, like, we want a contact person for each organization. I think that's what we were kind of thinking. But basically, like, we need to post a list of like specific responsibilities that volunteers will be signing up for, because I know people are busy. People are only going to be able to give a certain level of commitment, and so being a contact person with one organization is going to involve a lot less commitment than being involved with a different organization. So I think if we have either a spreadsheet or something posted concrete, like specific, like, all right, this person or this organization is going to require a meeting once a month or 2 times a month for X amount of time or whatever. Because I think volunteers need to know what they're getting into and what they can actually commit to. So sustainability was kind of what we were leaning towards.
So we discussed at our table was that we would like to have more visibility in the community and online. I looked at our Facebook page. I'm old, I'm on Facebook, I don't have Instagram. But we have 3 pictures on the Facebook page. 2 are the same picture. And then there's a group of pictures of some furniture. But anyway, there were 2 that were posted in 2021, and then there were 3 posts in 2023. So I think we could do a little more with that. Similarly, our website, we don't really have a website. It's sort of like a subset of the Ironworks website, which, again, if the community wants to know what we're about, there's not really a place for them to go and find it. So we need something there. So if somebody in the community that isn't part of Ironworks wants to find out about it, it's kind of hard to find information. Similarly with donors, if there's somebody that wants to donate to an organization, they want to donate to an organization that is visible in the community. So I like marketing, social media presence, website. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to street.
And pictures too. Pictures are a big thing.
Refuge has the market day next week. We need diapers. So if you want the diapers, either bring them to church on Sunday or reach out to Amber Carter through Venmo or not Venmo, whatever, something, and she'll get them. Okay, so that's not working. I think the first month we might have had 2. That was probably 8 months ago. That message shouldn't even be still sending out. But guess what? Genesis has an Amazon thing with diapers, right? Where they have their code. And they have a little card, like our business cards, only, and you can scan that and go right into Amazon, get diapers, and have them delivered right to Genesis. Isn't that awesome? Why don't we do it for Refuge? So there's something that if you think of being the conduit for Refuge to Genesis, that would never go through your mind. But through talking to them, that's a great idea because that's a need. Because we know diapers are about $45 a box, and you might get 2 packs. That's a huge need, right? So that's just another of a myriad of examples of when we build out our partnerships, like what a bunch of you have talked about tonight. God gives us blessings in so many ways that we can't even sit here tonight and think about them, but they're out there. So it's 8 o'clock. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for coming out tonight. And let's just get these pads into that lady's hands right there. 6 pads to Estella. You can give her the pens too. If we could put those resources back in that folder and just leave it at the table, but the pads give to Estella. And then the other thing else in the things. Thank you. Yeah. Hold on, I think Vic's got something before we go.
Anyone who can stay, we have to put these tables away, so we just need help. 4 or 5 guys is fine. Okay? Thanks.